Every club.
Every day.
The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Daily Newcastle. My name is Michael Grahamslaw and today we're going to be talking about Newcastle United's 1-0 defeat to Manchester United at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. And I do have to apologise that this is going out a little bit late, but if I recorded my immediate post-match reaction, it probably wouldn't have gone down very well. An intoxicated Michael would have woke up with a very, very bad, anxious hangover. So, Boxing Day is gone. We had the Boxing Day football, unfortunately just one game, and it wasn't a very good one. It was at Old Trafford under the lights, and Newcastle United left empty-handed, and Manchester United kept only their fourth clean sheet against Newcastle at Old Trafford in 17 years. Now think of the managers that have gone through in that period. Yeah, very, very scary that it was only their fourth clean sheet. And honestly, it was probably the easiest clean sheet they've kept in that time. On paper, it's another away loss, let's be honest. It's another terrible, terrible away loss. In reality, it's one that I think most people will leave frustrated, disappointed, in thinking how Newcastle didn't come away with at least a point. However, it left me wondering when the hell Newcastle United's players are going to start playing for their manager once again, because it was a completely abject and pathetic performance from Newcastle. While not as bad as the Derby defeat, it certainly had the potential to be, with a great strike to win the game from Patrick Dorgu. There were missed chances on both ends, really. Benjamin Sesko hits the bar. Fabian Schär playing him online, sitting 10 yards behind the rest of the defence. Nice one, Fab. VAR drama, which, to be honest, I didn't actually think was as dramatic as others have, but 65% possession for Newcastle United, which translated into 500 plus backwards or sideways passes, probably a record, but I haven't been counting. A cross success rate of 15% from 46 crosses, and an absolutely dreadful game of football, which leaves you wondering, when the are we going to get a second plan, a plan B? And believe it or not, coming into this, we actually had a bit of reason for optimism. Just one defeat in the last 5 league games. Chelsea, we started brilliantly, and Man United were missing a number of their talisman. Brian and Mbeumo being one, Ahmad, both of those away on national duty. Mazraoui also joining them. No Bruno Fernandes, injured and watching from the stands. Lissandro Martinez came back to captain the side, and you're thinking, well, he's 5'1" or whatever it is. I know it's 5'6" or something, but he's a midget. We've got a 6'7" striker. Surely putting crosses in the box is going to work. Nope, we failed on 39 crosses. Okay, and Casemiro returned from suspension, which, to be honest, kind of seemed like a positive for Newcastle, the way that he's been playing in recent years. For Newcastle, it was the same side that played against Chelsea, or started the game against Chelsea. The only real surprise was that Ruben Amorim, ditched the usual back three and went with the 4 at the back. I'll be honest, it's not something that we haven't seen before. They've done it. They've started to do it a bit more in games. We saw it in the 4-4 draw with Bournemouth. Didn't really defend all that well that day. I wonder what's changed. I need to calm down. But they pushed Patrick Dorgu into the right wing slot. And to be honest, he was probably man of the match. It was a gamble. It ultimately paid off. And the nicest thing I'm going to say about the Den is I quite like him as a player. I think he has got the potential to be a fantastic player. But if there was ever a game not to do it, I would have preferred it if it wasn't this one. But yeah, we started okay as well, to be honest. We had a little bit of a press. We were moving the ball all right, mainly around the back. We had a decent amount of possession. wasn't really any danger from either side, was there? You were looking at set pieces, maybe. Casemiro had a free header, which would have gone out, well, to be honest, it would look like eclipse in the sky at Old Trafford rather than actually going in the net. Terrible header. Our best chance came as Sandro Tonali whips in a corner. Bruno Guimaraes gets a header on it at the near post and forces a sharp save from Sene Lamens. And to be honest, it was probably the best save of the game. But both teams very comfortable and very unremarkable. And then, as I mentioned, Patrick Dorgu, the one that changes the game. Corner comes in for Man United. Nick Voltemada heads it straight in the air, ends up on the edge of the box. Patrick Dorgu gets away from Jacob Ramsey, volleys it home. To be honest, it's an excellent volley. It goes towards the corner. But then when you see the replay and you see that Aaron Ramsdale, crisp packet hands, gets a full hand on the ball, you're thinking, how has he only palmed that into the side netting? And it's yet another game where a goal has gone in against Newcastle and you're thinking, should Ramsdale have done a bit better there? And the answer is always yes, unfortunately. There is a saying in football, and I'm going to apply it to Nick Pope and Aaron Ramsdale. The best thing for Nick Pope's career at Newcastle was getting injured and being out of the team for Aaron Ramsdale coming in, because now Nick Pope feels like it's going to be a blessing in disguise having him back. We're not forgetting, but we're putting to the back of our minds Brentford, West Ham, etc. Because I'm thinking I need a goalkeeper that can save a shot. And there certainly haven't been any at Newcastle this year. But realistically, the warning signs were there for Newcastle with Dorgu, particularly against Lewis Hall. I saw so many people saying Lewis Hall had a great game. Defensively, I thought he was really poor. If you look back on the highlights, most of them are Lewis Hall running 10 yards behind play, sprinting as fast as he can to get back because he's out of position. And yes, he didn't get a lot of help from Anthony Gordon. Realistically, I think that was because out of possession, we were trying to move to a 5 at the back with Jacob Murphy going right wing back, which means Gordon then has to stay a bit further forward to support Nick Voltemada, which didn't do that really well either, to be honest. But it's one of those. Šeško actually looked all right from the Man United side. He had probably a little bit more service than what Voltemada did, but not by much. Neither team really got their striker into the game. Hall, I think one of the reasons a lot of fans are commenting on how good of a game he had was probably because of the drive and runs he was making from midfield. There's a few in the first half where he takes on like 4 players and gets past them, and you're thinking, all right, fair play, well done. And then there was one in the second half where he makes a drive and run, very similar, gets to the edge of the box, and a dip and strike smashes against the underside of the bar. And you're thinking, wow, a shot from outside the box? We don't do that very often. It was almost a rarity, and it nearly went in. It's you almost think, well, why don't we try this more often? And then following that, it's the weekly VAR shambles of is it a handball, is it not? To be honest, in my opinion, I don't think this one is, and I am fully aware that is going to piss off every single Newcastle United fan because I'm saying this isn't a penalty. It's a goalmouth scramble, goes to the far post, a shot is blocked, and the ball hits off Lissandro Martinez's chest, then onto his arm, then onto his hand. And it's one of those where the VAR checked it, waved it off, in my opinion, and rightfully so, because it hit, as I say, hits the chest, hits the arm, then hits the hand. First reason is, let's be honest, that shouldn't be a penalty if it hits off the chest and then onto your arm. The second is the proximity between Martinez and the ball. They're really close together. There is no way he can react. And realistically, you've got more of a chance of getting a penalty for the holding of Malik Chow, which are the reasons the arms are in that place in that position in the first place. There is a still where it looks like he's holding the ball like a rugby player, but he's holding on to Malik Chow. It's the usual 70-30 holding that you see in the box. 70% from the defender, 30% from the attacker. But because the attacker's still got a hold of the defending player, it's never going to be given. And to be honest, probably rightfully so. If it was given against us, we'd be furious. But back into the game, Anthony Gordon had a few good chances for Newcastle, dragged one wide where he should have hit the target, and then the best chance of the game, Newcastle actually create a really, really good chance down the right-hand side. Barnes cuts it back for Anthony Gordon, and Gordon skies it above the bar. And I'm sitting there going, no, that was the chance. And then the replay plays, and I see the position of Yohan Wissa on the other side of the goal. The near post, we've got Barnes, who gets played through brilliantly. He could take a shot himself and hit it across the goalkeeper. He could cut it back for Anthony Gordon, or he could play it across goal where Yohan Wissa has got ahead of the defender and would have had a tap in. Now, to be honest, Barnes probably doesn't see Wissa. He's probably focused on knocking it back to Gordon. But all you have to do is lift your head and just see Yohan Wissa in the best position possible. And even if he takes a strike at goal, very likely Lemens gets a hand on it or it goes in. Even if he gets a hand on it, there's a chance it goes to Wissa. But knocked back to Anthony Gordon. Great move all in all. But Gordon blasts it over the bar. And by that point, you were thinking, yeah, we've lost this. 100%. Newcastle made quite a lot of substitutes. Obviously, I mentioned Barnes there. He didn't really have... he's probably the only substitute that actually had an impact on the game. It was one of the few players who had any urgency. And while we mentioned, Newcastle needed substitutions earlier in the game against Chelsea, the substitutions themselves, I think, this time were wrong. What I wanted to see was Wissa and Voltemana playing at the same time. I would have took off Jacob Ramsey. I thought he was decent in the first half, except from the fact that he fell over outside the box when he should have had a shot. It's getting quite hard to defend those particular moments, but his all-round play is decent. I did think he was better than Tonali. Maybe not Bruno. He was on par with Bruno in the first half. Bruno was significantly better in the second when he played. Tonali had a terrible game, I think, again. He just seems a bit off it at the minute. I don't know if there's an injury. Maybe his head's been turned. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But it's one of those where it's a pretty damning look on the season when Sandro Tonali's not even playing well. And he was the one that in the last season and the season before, you could criticise 10 of the players, you'd still be able to say Sandro was a solid 7 out of 10. So hopefully that's just a little knock and, he's just not fully fit, but I highly doubt that, to be honest. But yeah, Man United, to their credit, defended like their lives depended on it. Bodies are on the line, clearances, time management. And when Lamens makes that late claim from across, it was celebrated like a goal. And that's all she wrote, really. Wasn't a very good game. But Man United probably, I don't want to say they deserved it, but out of the two sides, they were probably the slightly better, in my opinion. I think we had a lot of the ball, but we didn't really do anything with it. Their game plan was actually better than ours. And credit, I guess, to you, Ruben Amorim, for changing up the system, realising that the 5 at the back wouldn't work. It's a painful time when I have to give credit to Man United against Newcastle. Neither team were very good, but the sheer change in system, taking the risk with Dorgu, is what won them the game. But for Newcastle, serious questions need to be asked now of what the issue actually is. Has Eddie Howe lost the dressing room? If he has, just take the risk. Because let's be honest, we're going nowhere at the minute this season. Is the issue a sheer lack of a plan B? We went to 5 at the back against the likes of Arsenal, etc. last year. We knew we had that plan B, but that's not going to work against opposition that like to sit deep. Is it time for a plan C maybe where we test Wissa and Voltemata together? That's what I want to see. Voltemata sitting slightly deeper so you can get those intricate touches and more players around him. When he does get the ball, let's say 10, 15 yards away from any other player, he's lost. He doesn't really know what to do. He isn't that kind of player. Get him and Wissa on together and fix it. I think that fits it. Well, I say fix it and fix it. I think that fixes a lot of our problems. And is it just a simple case of we need to sign a few more players who are more creative in January? We've got the athletes, but maybe in games where we are going to have a little bit more of the ball, we need someone who can, not a maverick like an Alan Saint-Maximin, but an attacking midfielder who can play through the lines, take a shot from deep and really, really test the goalkeeper. They're all questions that can be asked. I don't have the answer. To be honest, it's early in the morning for me. And I'm sitting here thinking, you know what? If I had the answer, I would love it. But it could be a sheer number of things. I'm going to have a sit down with Ian sometime over this weekend and we will talk about it. And hopefully, we can sort of think of a few things there. But let's be honest, it's not down to me and Ian. It's down to the boardroom at Newcastle United to figure out what's been going on, and we need to do it quick. So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think it's time for Eddie Howe to go? I personally don't just yet, but if it's going to be a case of where we need to cut our losses, maybe it's time to do so. Let Howe go on his own accord at the same time, or wait till the end of the season. I'm not sure when it is, but I mentioned earlier, I can't see him lasting longer than this season. Is it a sheer lack of a plan B? Is it a sheer lack of attacking quality? Can we fix it in January? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. I've been Michael Grahamslaw. This has been the Daily Newcastle. We will have a more in-depth review later this weekend, but for now, ta-ra.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.